be episode 108. My name is Dave Hunt, and I'm joined by Michael Swick.
How's it going, Dave? We're a couple days before Thanksgiving, or when people listen to the podcast on podcast services, it's already Thanksgiving. And you're already with your family, listening to, like, uncomfortable political talk.
Yeah, we might release this one a little early, though. I
Yeah.
think that she might just post it to Patreon as soon as she's done editing, and then maybe we'll release this one Wednesday at 6 o'clock in the morning, so maybe somebody has something to listen to while they drive and dread or think about those conversations that they may or may not have.
You know, it's either, like, listen to, like, awkward uncle political talk or pretend you care about the Detroit Lions. Those are, like, your two choices on Thanksgiving.
At least from 12 to 3. So
Yeah.
The Lions game's on at noon. So
Okay.
I feel bad for, because that, you know, maybe you eat then. Maybe you eat at like 1 or 2, and then maybe you watch the better football teams afterwards. However,
Yeah, hopefully.
I did hear on Sunday Night Football that every team that's playing on Thursday lost on Sunday.
Oh, perfect. So everyone's got something to prove, I guess.
Yeah, so we'll see how that goes. But obviously, it is Thanksgiving week in America. So happy Thanksgiving to those of you that are listening. As always, if you listen to this and you want to post it in Discord on the Facebook group, you know, maybe just show a picture of whatever you're doing for Thanksgiving, however you're celebrating it, or also like over the weekend, like what you bought, or earlier this week what you bought, because everybody started their stuff like early. So.
Yeah, which I appreciate that everything started last Friday.
Kind of just spreading it out instead of just piling it all into one area. So it's kind of nice. So, all right. Obviously, we are Digital Days Gaming. We are a weekly show that posts every Thursday, typically at 6 a.m. Eastern on podcast services of your choice. If you're able to leave us a review, that would be super helpful. If you can use, write something. A couple people have actually even updated their reviews, so thank you for that. I've noticed a couple updated reviews. But as always, sharing the show is the easiest way to help us grow. There's a bunch of other social links in the show notes: Discord, Facebook, PayPal, Teesprings, all that stuff. So you can check those out in the show notes. And obviously, we're live on Twitch, twitch.tv/digitaldaysgaming, where we are an affiliated Twitch streamer. Sorry. I was like, what are we going to call ourselves? Yeah, streamer. So we have an affiliation, so you're able to give us a subscription if you choose. You can use that with your Amazon subscription. You get a free Twitch sub every month. You just have to auto-renew it, or you can just do a paid sub if you choose to as well. So that's, again, twitch.tv/digitaldaysgaming. I am aware that Canadian Thanksgiving had already passed, so that's why I said, I think I should have said U.S., United States, instead of America. Yeah. It's because not the Americas, or I don't even know what that term is anymore. Is it the Americas?
Not sure.
It's like, yeah. So, but in the United States, it's Thanksgiving on Thursday, and then Black Friday, obviously, is a big shopping day. So, all right, we're going to kick it over to the news.
Yeah, we talked a little bit about this last week on how we thought things were going to shift and change dramatically, but things didn't really change too much. But PlayStation, Microsoft, and Nintendo have spoken out against Activision Blizzard. Several internal emails went out from Jim Ryan, who called everything happening at Activision disheartening. Phil Spencer said he was disturbed and deeply troubled. And then Doug Bowser from Nintendo said it was all distressing and disturbing. What they are talking about is just all the stuff that's happening at Activision Blizzard, specifically around Bobby Kotick. There was multiple reports from Bloomberg, New York Times, and I think Polygon and Kotaku found stuff. They basically just...
I think Washington Post had a really good article,
Washington
too.
Post, yeah. Basically, having information that would show that Bobby Kotick has been fully aware of all the misconduct, and there's so many different categories that all the stuff happening in Activision falls under, but basically saying that, like, Bobby Kotick is more aware than he was claiming to be. It goes so far as alleging that he had wrote a couple of those press releases that he later would call out for being, like, troublesome,
short-sighted, or fell short of their goals. Like, he essentially, like, ripped his own writing.
And basically showed that, like, he had previously settled a lawsuit out of court about, like, threatening someone under him, and there's just a bunch of crazy stuff. Like, we won't get into the nitty-gritty of all this stuff because you could read the Washington Post article, the Bloomberg article about this stuff that gives detail to everything. But this is the first time I can think of that, like, there's been several different issues, allegations, misconduct stuff at different developers and publishers. Mm-hmm. This is the first time Nintendo, PlayStation, and Xbox have all gone out there and basically condemned a publisher, and specifically a CEO, for everything that's going
outside
on.
of like a natural disaster or a catastrophic world event, where, you know, it ends up being like, you know, PR friendly to make some kind of statement. You know, this is very interesting. Like, as I would see, like, I think Ryan said it first, at least on like how it showed up on my feed. Ryan said something, and then Spencer said something, and then Bowser said something.
Yeah.
And I'm sure it might have been one of, like, do I think that, you know, Nintendo was prompted by Sony and PlayStation saying something? Probably. Do I still think it's what they're thinking? Yeah, 100%. Yeah. But did they actually want to go public with it? Like, sometimes people are like, you know what, I just don't want to touch that. Mm-hmm. And the interesting part about it is, and I can't speak for the publishing arm, but they don't really, you know, like Activision Blizzard doesn't publish a lot of stuff on the Switch, at least compared to the other two consoles. I feel, because, like, as an example, like Call of Duty and League of Legends,
it's just the Crash and Spyro, or not League of Legends, but
not League. I'm sorry, Diablo. A couple of a lot of that stuff's not on Switch or not on Nintendo, but it's just super interesting to see, like, all three of them go together. And I'm also fascinated, and I don't want to get, like you said, into super nitty gritty detail, but I want to know how much power this guy has, because, like, why hasn't the board said, you know, GTFO?
I believe it was the Washington Post dug into this. It's basically, the board and him have been together for like 20 or 30 years, since like the 90s. And as far as the board's concerned, he's made them money. So they're sticking with capitalism versus... Yeah,
but he's not going to continue to make him money at this point in time.
Yeah, I mean, and that's what it's coming down to. And Kotick had the most, like, ridiculous statement, basically, of just like, he won't step down unless he can quickly fix the systemic issues with the company. And it's just like, bro, you are the issues with the company. Like, so he, like, created a paradox to keep himself in, and the board right now is like, they're willing to ride with him through this because he makes them money, and they could care less. I mean, it comes down to just like stockholders and board people just being like, well, he's making money. But what might mess with it is Xbox Phil Spencer. He said he would evaluate how they work with Activision Blizzard going forward with Bobby Kotick at the helm. And then PlayStation, no one knows if this is fully related. It could have just been timing, but they removed Call of Duty Vanguard from the sponsored, like, store page stuff, from like the splash page. That could have just been they had to remove it for, you know, other games being slotted in there. But
2-week time frame, anything, you know. But
the optics,
for sure.
So I think this will end with Bobby Kotick leaving, but it sounds like he's going to clutch onto this as much as possible.
He's going to get dragged out kicking and screaming.
Yeah.
Which is sad. Like,
yeah. So. And it's to the point to where, like, they might end up looking at, like, the Call of Duty this year apparently is like one of the worst selling Call of Duties in 14 years. So that might be the thing that gets him ousted, as opposed to all the horrible things that he has allegedly done being the thing that get him out of here. It might be the board more looking at, like, financials.
Well, it's unfortunate, like, when they, like, if they start evaluating, like I don't even know, like 30 days out, like when MPD comes out, and they're, you know, I don't know if they will or won't be, but they're not number one, let's just say.
Yeah.
And they're so used to being number one within the first month of launch for the last decade. And then they start digging into why, and maybe they hire a focus group, and they get a majority of feedback that talks about the optics of the company, or, you know, his name is all over it. Like, that's when, like, rubber hits the road of, like, okay, like, this, you know, even if they say, like, go away, like, away for, you know, like, if, you know, and you could still kind of have a voice, but they still, like, dismiss him, which I'm not condoning, but they, you know, dismiss him publicly.
Yeah.
To help, you know, facilitate that thing, as well as, like, this company needs a top-down trickle effect, like, and it's going to take years.
Yeah, and it's not just going to be Bobby Kotick. He has everyone on the board is with him, and then he's hired the people under him. So it's like Bobby Kotick needs to go, but then they also need to then remove several people under him and just go through.
Or those people under him need to make sure that they understand, like, because sometimes, I mean, you and I have seen this in our world of like sometimes people just take on the behavior of their supervisor.
They do what they can get away with because of the example set.
Yeah. So in terms of like a behavioral change, which again still takes years, just to get this taste out of your mouth. I haven't seen as much of it as we saw like 6 months ago or 8 months ago. Like I don't feel like there's as many people like boycotting Blizzard Activision as there were, but it's definitely there. So
yeah. I think this eventually does end with him leaving, but it's just a matter of how long is he willing to like hold on to this, or before the board is just like, hey, you're messing with our profits enough that they're willing to remove him. But at that point, it's just like, as long as they get rid of him, it's a positive, regardless of like the board's intention of getting rid of him because he's a horrible person or getting rid of him because he's messing with their profits. Either way, the story ends with him leaving Activision Blizzard. But there's a chance, like you said, like he'll silently still be on the board or something, just because he's put so much money into this, or stock options aren't going to go away. I mean, he just got $150 million payout like a couple months ago, so it's one of those things where he's deep into Activision Blizzard. They can remove him from CEO, but he will probably linger for many years to come on this company.
And we haven't seen the results of this lawsuit yet either, right? From the state of California, like that's
no,
still
it's
in litigation,
still ongoing.
Right?
Yeah, there's still like negotiations going on. There's just like the employee walkouts, the unionization stuff. So this thing's going to take a long time, and that the only thing that they can do is just get rid of him as fast as possible to save face at this point. But it looks like they're willing to let him write it out, which is really
crazy,
messed up. But yeah, I'm sure we'll have more on this as time goes. I really think it's going to be before the end of the year. I can't see him going into 2022 as the head. Like, he has to step down. There'll be a thing that says he leaves like by February 1st or something like that, before the new fiscal year starts or whenever that starts or something. This seems like one of those things you quietly do before Christmas, so then it gets buried under...
You release the press release December 18th and you go on holiday break or whatever.
Yeah, because usually like the video game like press, they actually take like 2 weeks off during the holidays.
Yeah,
that's
like
when
the
you
Friday before Christmas,
Yeah, that's when this happens probably, just so that it doesn't make news and then his name isn't sticking around. But yeah, we'll move on to better news, more light news. Epic Games has acquired Harmonix. This kind of came out of nowhere for me, but I'm kind of happy because Harmonix is a studio I've always kind of worried about. But Epic Games has acquired the Rock Band and Fuser studio Harmonix. They announced Harmonix will be creating music journeys and experiences for Fortnite. And then Harmonix came out and said that they will continue to support Rock Band with DLC for the rest of 2021 and into the next year, and support the online seasons, and will support Fuser with seasonal events like they've been doing since that game came out last year, 2 years ago? Forget exactly when.
Sure.
Yeah. But yeah, Epic has acquired another studio.
Do we know for how much?
No, unfortunately we don't, but we'll probably find out.
I think this is just them doubling down on their live service and the concerts and stuff that they've been trying to do, which seems to have shown some success. And then I think that, if and when Fortnite changes their maps, like definitely having like buildings where like different parts of the map play different music. Like this is, just their way of continuing to grow this Fortnite Battle Royale world, of giving new, fresh stuff for people to do. And whether it's on a decline or not on a decline, or it's plateauing or whatever it's doing or not doing, like it's still printing money for them, obviously.
Yeah, enough for them to buy an entire studio that
and
makes
then say
music
the studio
games.
is going to focus on stuff for Fortnite. So
yeah,
they didn't buy. I mean, yes, they got the other stuff that Harmonix will probably bring to the table in terms of, again, their tech and how music is used and all that stuff. Another huge studio acquisition for them, but. In this release, it's specifically, hey, we're working on, you're working on musical journeys for Fortnite. Like that's like the main bullet point from that press release. So like, it's definitely not going anywhere anytime soon.
They're definitely trying to continue to find ways to expand Fortnite, and I think I wouldn't be surprised if, Mediatonic, the Fall Guys people that were acquired by Epic, are looking to try and make mini games in Fortnite. And then this is just trying to expand that concert space that Fortnite has started. So it's pretty good. I'm glad that Harmonix at least came out being like, hey, like we're still releasing songs for the rest of this year and then going into next year or throughout next year, which is nice because I would imagine it doesn't cost too much for them to continuing to do that outside of like licensing, but it's nice to keep that game running. And Harmonix in general is one of those studios that I always just kind of worried about because like their last couple games didn't really hit to the levels they used to. So I was always just wondering when Harmonix is going to either leave the music space or not be able to find like a viable income in gaming.
And them creating unique music experiences gets around the licensed stuff because now Epic owns a license. So.
Yeah, and then people want to work with Fortnite and Epic, so that might open them up to different artists that they didn't previously have access to, that they could then, if they wanted to bring it into Rock Band or Fuser, they possibly could do that. Because I would imagine, I could see it not costing Epic a lot of money to keep Rock Band going for a couple years. Like, the DLC releases aren't like super free. Are they still weekly? I think it's like monthly. They release like a couple songs a month.
Those games are not in my wheelhouse, so I have no idea.
I still play them, but like I play it like once a month, and then every time I play it, it's like, oh, there's 6 new songs. Let me see if I want to buy any of these.
Yeah.
So I would imagine the overhead to keep Rock Band and Fuser going isn't crazy. That Epic's gonna come in there and be like, all right, let's kill this stuff and continue working on Fortnite stuff. But yeah, I would be curious to know how much it cost, just because Rock Band's still a viable IP in terms of like, or, what it could mean in the future, or something that you can throw on to like Harmonix tried mobile games. They tried like portable games, but it's still like an IP that probably means something to a lot of people.
Especially with the evolution of even physical musical instruments. Like I'm starting to see a little bit more stuff that's like Bluetooth. Like in terms of like how you connect it to even like a speaker. So if they could figure out how to connect that to consoles to where you could actually like, practice like on a tutoring session similar to Rocksmith, and is that Ubisoft now, right?
Yeah, Rocksmith is Ubisoft.
Yeah. So if they could do something where somebody, could play an actual guitar and it affects stuff in game, like I think that would be like a big deal. Like I think it'd be hilarious to see, we've seen, again, from my Destiny standpoint, I've seen somebody do a Destiny raid on Rock Band drums. But to see somebody like, as an example, like a broad example, but possibly play Fortnite with a guitar,
which I'm sure they
hilarious.
I'm sure they can, but I mean, they could probably
like
even
that at the high extent, but at the same time to have some type of music teaching service or game that maybe doesn't require specific peripherals, stuff that you may already have at home or things that maybe are a little bit more easily accessible. I think it'd be kind of cool.
Yeah, if anything, this just gives them a cash flow that they can experiment a little more, or they just get put into the Fortnite machine. But I would imagine Epic is probably a smart enough company to know that like they need to experiment outside of Fortnite, or at least you would hope they would want to do that, because Fortnite can't last forever. Though we've been saying that about Call of Duty for about 10 years now, so maybe it can. Yeah. But they at least have a diverse enough like stable of developers that if they wanted to experiment outside of Fortnite, they definitely could.
Which I'm sure they are. Like obviously, like I mean, there's stuff going on that we have no idea about that might, either make it into Fortnite or might make it eventually its own separate game or mode or something. I definitely feel like over time, and it's already happening, is that Fortnite is becoming more of a brand than it is a game. So
yeah.
Like in terms of like launching Fortnite could definitely mean launching different games or different modes within their universe.
I'm just waiting for them to, the next music event they have, they just integrate the Rock Band controllers into it and do some weirdness they can get away with, because all those controllers are compatible, with the current systems. Though I don't know how many of those are out there and available. I just hope, if anything, Epic, if you're listening, please, for the love of God, throw some money to Harmonix to make additional instruments, because that market for used instruments has gotten kind of vicious, and I really need a new guitar, but I don't want to pay a crazy amount of money for a new guitar. So if anyone at Epic's listening, Give them however millions of dollars you need to give them so they can make some extra guitars. Because, God, I hate trying to buy used guitars because they break so easily. But hopefully that happens. Next story we have is Rockstar Games apologizes for the definitive edition of GTA. I think I wanted to talk about this last week, but I didn't get around to it. But the GTA Trilogy definitive edition is fucking broken. Like, it is kind of terrible what they ended up doing to those games. It's basically what our initial worries were, but then we saw the trailer, and then we were like, oh, the trailer looks better than we thought, and then a game came out, and it's basically aligns with what we were worried about the first time we heard about this trilogy. But yeah, they basically said that the product didn't meet the standards, and they're going to release various patches and updates, and the first patch dropped last week, which fixed over 50 issues, and then they have more patches coming. As a make good, they'll be making the original PC's releases of those games available to anyone who purchased the definitive trilogy on the Rockstar launcher from launch date to June 30th of next year. So you'll be able to get those original PC releases if you buy the definitive edition from them on PC. So give them more money so then they can give you the make good.
You play on console, we don't care.
Yeah, console, it's like you guys are screwed. You got San Andreas with Game Pass, and you guys are getting Vice City with or GTA 3 with PlayStation Now. So yeah, my question to you, Dave, is how the fuck does this happen? Like, we're talking about Rockstar right now. Like, how do they release the definitive edition?
But this is the same company that's been getting away with delaying their online component of their game for months. Like, GTA Online was delayed, Red Dead Online was delayed, and then where they kind of became their own platform. I think that they've come very content and they're very much just doing what they need to do. And it's got GTA, like, it's fine, it'll be all right. And this will be on the chart. We just talked about MPD for Call of Duty. This will be on the chart. Oh no, for sure. And like it'll be it could possibly be one.
Probably will.
And at that point, like when you look at possibly the top 3 games in November's NPD of being in any order that you want to put it: Battlefield, Call of Duty Vanguard, and GTA, and they're all busted in one form or another. Yeah, no,
it just baffles me that Rockstar, like, they only have Take-Two's biggest game is Grand Theft Auto, and the fact that they just put this out in such a garbage state, like, they had to know that there'd be backlash, but I guess to your point, they knew it was going to sell, so what's it matter? But, like, it's not a mystery that this game was in this condition. They have QA. They have to know the state it's going to be in. Do they pre-write the apology? Like, before it releases? Like, hey, we're probably going to have to apologize for this? Or do they release it just being like, oh, this is good enough, and then they're surprised when...
You had to get it out before the holiday season, period. Like, that's what they were told. Like, it has to be out before Thanksgiving.
But and it doesn't matter because it's just going to sell, and then we'll fix it later mentality. It's just wild.
Yeah, I'm sure that was part of the conversation. Like, get it out, launch it, ship it.
Yeah, ship it, sell it. Physical unit comes out 2 weeks before Christmas.
I would say, this was 100% like, just get it out there, like, get it on the stores, like, so it can be part of whatever Black Friday promos, or when they're looking for Black Friday promos, they'll see it. And this is not why I don't play GTA games, but some of this stuff, like, I've never like picked up a demo or messed around with any of the GTA games or Red Dead games and go, this is fun. Like, I always have like issues with the game in general in terms of clunky controls, moral dilemmas, if you want to call them, of things that happen in those games, like to the point of where it's like, okay, like, no, I'm good. You can live over there and you can do what you want to do. But when, your top tier developers and publishers treat their people like crap, and they launch their games in an incomplete state and still get rewarded for it, there's really nothing else that we can do or say.
It's just crazy to me, though, that like the rain in this game makes it unplayable in certain aspects. There's so many different things.
If this was CD Projekt Red, or if this was Focus Home Interactive, they'd be getting dragged over the burner. But since it's Rockstar, they're protected.
They were getting dragged pretty heavily the week it came out, but I think people moved on.
But not to the point where they anybody delisted it.
So they delisted it themselves, but that's because they accidentally released the game with the original music tracks, and then they had to delist it and pull the music tracks from the game that they didn't have the rights to anymore. But yeah, that they were the ones that delisted the game, and it was only for a couple days because they accidentally put all the original content out, and they were like, "Oh shit, we can't pull that. We can't put that in there."
Sure.
Which is fucking insane that they released it with all the original content, and then they were just like, "Oh wait, actually, let me take that out."
How is it even being developed with that stuff in the files? Like,
I'm guessing them not getting the rights to all the songs was something that was done almost to launch date. Like they were confident they were going to get all the songs, and then one of the artists were like, "Actually, no, I want more money." Especially Grand Theft Auto has a history where artists, when Rockstar says like, "Hey, we want to put your music in the game," artists are like, "Well, you're going to pay double because you guys are Rockstar, and we know what the sales are for Grand Theft Auto games."
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I mean, like, there's so many weird bugs with this thing. It just, I can't imagine a company's willing to take that PR hit, regardless of what franchise they are.
But again, they didn't have physical copies. Like people, like once you bought the digital thing, like yeah, maybe on Steam or whatever offers the 10-day return policy or whatever it is. But like PlayStation and Xbox, like trying to get money back is like pulling teeth. Just for something you've already downloaded, you downloaded and launched. Physical copies, you could take it to the store and fuss until somebody takes your game back.
Yeah.
Because you're just like, I'm going to stand here until you give me my money back. Well, you can't do that on the digital store. So I would be led to believe that they had a plan to launch it digitally and to make sure that it is in a better state by December 8th or 10th or whatever this. Yeah.
Yeah, I wonder
if. Again, terrible.
Yeah, because we already had like one. I think there was a day one patch. There was the hotfix last week, and then they'll probably have another patch before it releases physically, and then hopefully at that point it'll be playable from some aspects. Because I swear, like looking at some of the stuff, it is not a very playable game in so many different aspects. But yeah, they put out their fake apology and pushed you to buy the game from them in the PC store. So
sorry we sucked, and we're going to reward you with free content if you buy it from us directly and buy the better version.
Yeah, no, we get a higher cut here, and then we'll just give you something free.
And I guarantee you they saw an increase in sales after that release.
I honestly, even though like I haven't bought it yet, I was looking at it like, oh, maybe I'll do the PC one so I can play the originals on PC, but I'm not doing that.
Sucker.
Yeah, I'll wait till the physical copies are on sale at this point. I can't see myself paying $60 on December 8th for these. Do I really want to play Vice City? But I won't do it. All right. The last thing, which I think happened like the day after we recorded.
Yeah, I feel like the day after or 2 days or the day the show released.
Yeah. So the MultiVersus was revealed, which is the Warner Brothers Smash clone. So this basically was just the developer talking and showed extensive amount of gameplay, more than I was expecting from this, but the reports are right. It is free to play, but it is a co-op based fighting game. So it's basically 2v2, and it is basically releasing on every platform except Switch, from what I can tell, which is kind of baffling just because, yes, Switch...
It doesn't look that graphically intense.
Yeah, it doesn't look graphically intense. I know Switch has Smash Brothers, but I believe Nickelodeon All-Stars best-selling platform was the Switch, because that platform likes those type of fighters. But I guess it is what it is on that. The roster is basically all the leaks that we saw before. So Tom and Jerry, DC characters, Batman, Superman, Wonder Woman, Harley Quinn, Steven Universe characters. I think it was Steven, and it was... Oh my, Garnet. I had to go in my brain for Steven Universe names. And then we had Arya from Game of Thrones. I think I saw Gandalf as a character pick. And then Shaggy, who goes into like Super Saiyan mode, who looks super OP. There will be a single player competitive aspect to it. Individual character progression, and of course cosmetics. And dedicated servers with rollback netcode, which is, I think, the thing most people took from this. They were like, oh, they might be serious about how they want this game to be perceived within the fighting game community, because that's a very important thing you need for fighting games. Dedicated servers with that rollback. So what did you think about this? I only put this in here so we could just talk about what we thought.
It looked interesting. They seemed to hit all of the current 2021, 2020 vibes of like free to play, cross play, cross save, like all the things that everybody wants to see. What we saw looked like it was running really well. Again, I'm sure it's a PC. And the promise of continuing characters definitely shows the monetization train. But a game like this is only going to survive based on how balanced it is and how well it plays.
Mm-hmm.
So if it's not balanced well or if it feels clunky, it's going to fail.
Yeah, pretty much. Free to play will definitely keep it going a little bit more, or at least we'll get that initial engagement kind of high, but it's just a matter of...
It also means they can fix it later too, like in terms of if something's not working, they can come back in like 3 months and say, okay, hey, we listened, this is what we're doing, this is what we're changing, here's our roadmap. And then it's low risk for the player. For player involvement is low risk because it's free to play. Like, I don't want to buy anything yet, let me see how this works out. Oh, that Batman skin looks cool, okay, I'll buy it. You know?
Art style looked it looks okay. I think they did the best they could with trying to get all those different characters.
That's a lot of characters, to fit into the same type of style.
Yeah, and I think they did well enough. It
definitely gives the 90s cartoon vibe, though. Yeah.
Yeah, like, I mean, they're putting in real people, cartoons, comic book characters. They're mixing so many different things. 2D art people or 2D cartoon characters.
Yeah, the 2v2 is an interesting thing with a lot of the, like working together. I could see that being super interesting, but if this game is going to survive at all, it has to have a sustainable, solid single player mode. Solo player mode. Yeah, solo player. Yeah, like it needs to. The idea of having to work together with someone else in like a free to play game doesn't sound that great, but I would hope that they would focus on 1v1 or 1v1v1v1, because I think it's only 4 characters at a time. So I would hope they would focus on that if their online can handle that, of course. It's coming in 2022, and people can sign up now for play tests as those happen. So I think it looks better than I was expecting it to look. I'm still super skeptical about this whole thing in terms of like another Smash clone, but at least it has voice acting. Like they actually have pretty much all the voice actors you would want, either being the actual actors or voice actors for the characters in the game, or good enough sound alikes for some. So they're at least doing better than Nickelodeon All-Stars did, because this one actually has like voice acting. So they at least seem like they are throwing money at it to be successful. So it's just a matter of, will it actually be fun to play and get the fighting community into it? Because they need to get the fighting community into this. Am I right? Like, this could be a casual hit, but I think you need that fighting game community to show the casual audience like the possibilities with this game. I would imagine. Oh yeah, definitely. So yeah, they gotta hit it somehow, and then if the dedicated servers work and it can be played competitively well online, you definitely could have something on your hands, because if it plays dedicated servers well online, it'll play great in-person tournament format.
Yep. And that is it for the news. Yes, that is it for the news. I feel like I'm missing something, which I hate when that happens, because then after we record, I'm like, shit, we forgot that major news story. But I think we're okay.
Yeah, I didn't really see anything on but I wasn't really super on social media today. So what's delayed? I guess Halo Infinite co-op and Forge mode delayed due to the extension of Season 1. I just think more people are surprised that Season 1's going until May, like we talked about last week, or when we first played it.
Yeah.
So that's a little bit surprising. Co-op will be out after May for Season 2, and Forge will be for Season 3. This is in my opinion, this is 100% expected. This is how they're going to justify it being on Game Pass and continuing your Game Pass subscription, and the multiplayer being free to play. So drip feeding your campaign content is expected, and other companies have done it and been successful doing it, a la Bungie.
So do you think Season 1 was extended to May specifically because the co-op wasn't going to be ready?
Yes.
Okay.
I think that they need to release something in a non-PvP format every season. And I think, like you and I have already talked about before, that they wanted to get Halo out as soon as possible. This is apparently as soon as possible. It probably really wasn't going to be ready until February or March. Therefore, the season would end in May. But they are getting pressure to release this game because they just need to have it out there. It's costing them a significant amount of money. They needed the Game Pass subscription bump before Christmas for the campaign, and they needed the Battle Pass system bump before the holidays, before Thanksgiving.
Yeah, and they also probably sensed blood in the water for Battlefield and Call of Duty, because I would assume they saw their opportunity of like, okay, Battlefield's not hitting, Call of Duty's not hitting. Let's just go for it.
Because it's still technically in beta. People are giving the multiplayer some people are giving the multiplayer so much praise, and some people are giving it so much crap. But the game is still technically in a beta.
Yeah.
It doesn't come out until December 8th.
Yep. But it's still Season 1. So that's a super weird way how they're phrasing all their release stuff. But yeah, it's technically a beta, even though it's Season 1's already out. But all right, I think that was the only thing that was delayed. I'm sure there was something else, but something gets delayed every week.
All right, so what we're playing and watching, I played a little bit more Halo. I've been playing a little bit more Destiny again because I'm messing around with a community member that was a little bit behind. So getting him up to snuff and getting him ready for some stuff before it gets vaulted and before it gets Witch Queened, or before Witch Queen comes out. And then on top of that, Bungie's in this problem. They're taking they're taking Destiny 2 Beyond Light off Game Pass on December 8th, the day after their 30th anniversary content comes out, and also the day that their Forsaken content goes free to play. So it's super cheap on PSN. Excuse me. It's super cheap on PSN and Xbox right now. Just be careful if you buy a version of the game that you don't necessarily buy a version that contains a season if you've already paid for the season, because it's the current season that the game is in. But they're definitely got some mud in the water right now with how it's going to work in terms of for an Xbox player if they want to continue playing with it being off of Game Pass, in terms of what you're allowed to have access to based on what you own or what you don't own. You don't lose anything that you earned in the game, but you will 100% lose access to areas or missions in the game if you don't own the latest expansion content. So they're in a little bit of a weird, bad struggle part with that of explaining that to mostly the Xbox player base. It's coming off of cloud and console, but it's staying on PC. So it's super odd.
Yeah.
But that is pretty much it for playing. I will hopefully, I've got a couple days off post Thanksgiving, post Black Friday weekend, to, like I put it in the Facebook group, like Guardians of the Galaxy, Metroid Dread, Call of Duty Vanguard, just trying to get up to par. I've also been, as you can tell, hear my voice with the weather going 60 degrees to 30 degrees. I'm fighting off some crap again, which I feel like I've been fighting off for 6 months.
Mm-hmm.
But needless to say, it is what it is. I fell into a rut watching a show on Hulu called Superstore. It's like a 20-minute sitcom comedy thing. It's kind of funny. The show's, as I've gotten into season 3, it's kind of gotten more away from funny things that happen in the retail world to an actual arcing story, which I don't really care about. I used to like each episode kind of being focused on some random weird retail thing that I could actually relate to a little bit. So that's on Hulu. And then today, Owen had a half day from school, and he came home and he wanted to watch a movie. So we watched the new Clifford, the Big Red Dog movie on Paramount Plus. That was actually surprisingly good for a Clifford movie. It's a live action movie with Clifford the dog being CG as he grows, but it had consistently funny moments. Even when Owen lost attention, I was like, I kind of want to see where this goes. Oh, so it's definitely worth a watch if you have access to Paramount Plus. It's part of that package. I don't know if it's in theaters or if it's. I'm assuming it's rentable.
It is.
But
yeah, I think it's in theaters.
Yeah, it was definitely worth a watch. But yeah, that's pretty much it. I worked a lot of the last couple of days, so that's really all I've been playing and watching. Just kind of trying to get ready for Thanksgiving, trying to get ready for the kids coming home and stuff. So
yeah, for me, it's been a lot of Halo Infinite multiplayer, which I'm surprised that I am super into playing Halo, because I've never been like the biggest Halo multiplayer person. But I'm actually having a good time. I think it helps that I'm winning a good chunk of my matches, because, man, when I win, everything goes pretty smoothly. It's actually a pretty easy win. When I lose, I'm usually getting stomped. And if I was losing more than winning, I would probably fall off on this game. Because I'm talking about like...
Are you playing solo a lot? Or
Yeah, I'm just playing solo because I'm antisocial. And also, most of my friends are PlayStation people. So I think my list is literally like 4 people from the community, and like that's it. Like, and then my PlayStation friend list is like 100-something people. But playing a lot of Halo, because like when I have a good game, it's like I'll get like 18 kills and like 4 deaths, and I'm like, cool, that was good and we won. When I lose, it's like 12 kills and 25 deaths. Like it's so like bipolar in terms of like when things are going well.
Are you liking the bigger maps or the smaller maps?
Smaller maps. Like for the most part, I just do quick play and smaller maps. The bigger maps, just I don't know. There's just not enough action, and it's just kind of I almost feel like they're not as big as a Battlefield map, obviously, but like in Battlefield, I feel like I'm running around doing nothing a lot. And then
I hate the driving in Halo. Like,
yeah. The driving's of a particular taste. I usually avoid the vehicles at all costs, even if someone's like, "Drive me," while I shoot. It's like, no, I'm okay. So I'm enjoying that, having a lot of fun. I'm still kind of upset about the progression. Like I'm level 2, even though I've put like a dozen hours into this game.
I think I'm higher than that.
It's just because you probably played enough of the big maps, and it seems like a lot of the goals are related to the bigger maps.
Involve different modes and different game modes and maps and kills with certain weapons, and I feel like you get the high powered snipers on the bigger maps than the smaller maps, because you don't really need that big of a sniper on the smaller map anyways. So and they're not terribly hard, but yes, their progression, beta, not beta, their progression is terrible. Like you need to give something for getting kills, and you need to give something for winning a match, and then you need to give something for completing a match. Yeah,
like right now,
even if it's 10 points, like I don't even know the answer. So
like right now, I think you're pretty much guaranteed 50 points for playing a match. But that's it, and until they move that goal, that's going to go away, and then your progression's going to like completely stop. And that's what's preventing me from buying the Battle Pass. Like I want to get the Battle Pass because there's cool things in it, but I'm just like, well, I'm going to have to interact with the challenges. And I have noticed that some people will bail out, and it seems like they go into a game, do whatever challenge they need to go in, and then they bail once they complete it. And
but it also doesn't tell you that you completed the challenge, at least that I've seen, until the match is over.
Yeah, but I think you still get credit for it, even if you like bail. Because some of them are just weird. They're just like, oh, blow up a vehicle. So I will see people just blowing up a vehicle. And it's like, why are you doing that?
And that's definitely what you don't want from a multiplayer free-to-play game, is like, let me go in here and throw 7 grenades and rocket launcher this vehicle and then dip out for the day. I'm good.
Yeah. Like, we'll be on maps, and then you'll see someone with a sniper rifle, and they're just sitting there the entire map. And you're just like, no, we need to get the damn skull so we can score a point. But you have people like fighting over like a specific weapon that they just want to camp and then just use that weapon. And it can get kind of frustrating because you're just like, oh, you're just trying to get the daily goal or the weekly challenge, whatever it is. So that's like the only thing bothering me. And then when I tried to just be like, okay, you know what? Let me just track my wins, losses, my kill deaths, and let me just, track my progression. And you can't, because there's no like stats that are deep into the game. You can replay your individual matches and see the scores you had for those individual matches, but I can't find any overall like stats because I want to see if I'm getting better, what modes I'm winning on more than others. And I downloaded the Halo Waypoint app thinking like, oh, it'll be there. And then it's not. Like, there's literally nothing in that app.
It's definitely not it's not Bungie's API anymore. That's for sure.
And
Bungie's API is nuts. Like the stuff that they keep data on that they let the public access to. Like I can see like I could probably tell you how many bullets I fired in the game.
Well, no, and I'm used to that from Overwatch. Overwatch had all that.
Yeah.
Like most professional or like first-person shooters have that type of stats tracking, and this game doesn't have any of that stat tracking, which kind of bums me out. But the thing that keeps me going back is the core gameplay mechanics are really fun. But I'm just wondering when that tipping point is going to be for me to where I'm just like, I'm just not having that much fun anymore. And it's probably going to be when I hit that point where I'm losing 3 games in a row. Or, I go on a losing streak and I'm just like, okay, it's not worth it if I'm getting stomped. Mm-hmm. And I'm seeing some of the PC people using the cheat engine stuff and doing the auto-aim stuff starting to creep in more and more. So it's just like, oh, okay, so if I'm not going to get stat tracking and I'm going to have to deal with cheating, I'm going to end up bouncing out. But so far...
Yeah, I definitely don't see anywhere you can turn... I haven't seen anywhere you can turn cross-play off. So, I mean, like you could just be in this gigantic player pool with PC players also, which is not fun for some people.
Yeah. Especially the only good thing is like the playing field is pretty even with PC and controller people for Halo, the way they balance the game. But once you get those people cheating, then it's going to ruin the fun. Why do you cheat? Why do you cheat when you get nothing for winning and you have no stats to track? Like, why are you cheating? Trolls got a troll is the problem.
Yeah.
So still enjoying it because the core gameplay mechanics are still super fun. I really like the map design. I don't think there's a map in this game that I don't like. Usually I play multiplayer ones and you'll see a map and you're just like, shit, I hate that map. But so far for this one, I'm enjoying every map I'm onto. I like actually all the game modes. Capture the flag could be a little annoying.
I don't like the battery mode, the pick up the batteries, install 5 batteries. But I don't know if you played that one because you don't play in the big maps. But
yeah, I avoid
like
the big maps.
Like pick up power seeds.
Yeah.
And then you have to take them back to another base and deposit them, and you can take them from somebody else. That just feels very slow because you can't do much when you have the power cell. Getting to the power cell takes a long time, and then I don't feel like there's enough players to have like kind of roles where somebody like defends the base, 2 people are fetching, and then 2 people are slaying. Like that's not like 6v6 or 8v8's not enough on a map that size. They need like 20v20.
Yeah, and that's why I like the smaller maps is because it's usually it's 4 to 6 or something like that. And
yeah, I think it is like 6 on 6, 4 on 4. Yeah.
And it's very easy on these smaller maps to define the role of like, oh, cool, I have the ball, so I need 2 people on either end of me to defend me while I'm holding this dumb thing.
Yep.
And just all the strategy that just kind of happens when you have that little player count and no one doing voice chat, because no one does voice chat anymore. Like I heard one person on voice chat and it sounded like they didn't even know their voice chat was on. So the smaller maps definitely help avoid like the issues I've been seeing with the bigger maps. But Halo Infinite, and then I started Guardians of the Galaxy. Not super far into it, but in the first couple hours, the writing is exactly what you would want from Guardians of the Galaxy. It's got that like movie sense of humor and some of the like the character stuff that you saw in the movies that the comics later adapted. So it's a nice, like they took the right things from the movie and worked from there. So the story has me hooked. Characters have me hooked. Gameplay is the only thing I think this game kind of falters in. It's not bad. It just exists. Like gameplay wise, it's just like a very average, like third person shooter adventure game or action game. So gameplay is kind of a letdown, but I'm enjoying the story. And if I understand, it's not a very long story. So it's perfect for me right now, especially, we're trying to focus on Game of the Year stuff and do things as much as we can in terms of like playing a bunch of different games. So I can use like a nice 12 to 15 hour story for Guardians as I get ready for a bunch of games that I kind of forgot came out this year. I gotta
go back and spend more time with Returnals.
Yeah, like
Returnal.
We'll talk about some of that stuff a little later in terms of games that we're gonna like play over the holiday break. Though we don't really do a holiday break, but that's just kind of.
Well, we kind of do because we'll pre-record some stuff and then like you guys won't hear from us like 100% live for like 14 or 17 days or something like that. So
but enjoying Guardians for the story aspects, and then I think that's pretty much it. Started watching Death Note just because we talked about Death Note during our anime episode for Patreon. So me and Sarah started to watch Death Note. Also started to watch the Pirates of the Caribbean movie. I've never seen them, and Sarah had seen.
I've only seen like bits and pieces of them. So.
Yeah, and Sarah had seen the first two, but not anything after that. So we're probably gonna watch those over time, and then I started to watch The Sopranos again. I haven't seen it since I was a kid, so I'm rewatching The Sopranos because I watched it when it first was on the air, like in secret, because I wasn't allowed to watch it.
Do you have any interest in that prequel movie?
God, no. I heard the reviews for that were terrible, so I'm fine.
I just heard a lot about it, but I never heard anything about reviews. That's all.
Yeah, no, I'm staying away from the prequel. I just wanted to watch the show. It holds up for the most part, though you can definitely get the vibes of like, oh, this was shot in the late 90s, early 2000s with how like the camera looks, how the set design is. So maybe I'll stick through with it. It's also early HBO, which early HBO can be kind of cringe with how they felt like they had requirements for like themes that they had to have for all their shows back in the day. So I don't know.
Many nipples every half hour.
Basically, yeah. And just some of the writing aspects of it. Like it seems like it holds up pretty well, but I don't know if I'm going to do a full all 6 seasons of The Sopranos watch. I'll see if I can get through the first season in a reasonable amount of time before moving on to other shows, just because I've been wanting to rewatch a bunch of different shows. And this holiday time seems like the perfect time to like get into like a random show just to put on and like zone out to, especially with work coming up. Definitely gonna need a couple shows for that. But that is it for me.
All right. So questions and comments using hashtag AskDigitalDays. You can send them to us through Facebook, Discord, Twitter. All those links are in the show notes. Main Terry writes, "What's on the Turkey Day?" Jeez. What's on the Turkey Day menus if you celebrate at all, and what's your favorite dish? So I'll let you go first, so that the community can like just hate on whatever random thing you are or aren't going to eat.
I mean, it's pretty basic stuff. Like obviously turkey with a good gravy, stuffing. We do rice, but we do like chicken rice. For whatever reason, it's just like the rice we choose. I forget if they make Puerto Rican rice as well, but the Puerto Rican rice is usually there as well. Yeah, it's pretty basic stuff for Thanksgiving. Traditional outside of like the rice choices being maybe non-traditional for my family. Favorite?
What's on the table that you just don't? I was gonna say what's your favorite, and then what's on the table you don't touch.
Favorite, it's just gonna be the turkey, specifically the way my family makes the turkey, the specific type of stuffing that is used to like coat the skin or under the skin, and then just I don't know the way they do it. It's like butter, I think it's like garlic, parsley, and like 2 other things that are used to like go under the skin of the turkey so it gets cooked and stays like moist. So turkey's my favorite, especially with the gravy. And then the thing I hate probably the most is like we usually have like Brussels sprouts at the table, and I usually kind of stay away from the Brussels sprouts. I just don't like Brussels sprouts. But everything else I usually take a little bit of everything. Like mac and cheese. I forgot about that. Mac and cheese is also a favorite.
Yeah. So yeah, ours is very traditional as well. Turkey, mashed potatoes, gravy, stuffing. Probably my favorite thing that I usually just focus on having around Thanksgiving time is like a green bean casserole with like cream of mushroom soup and green beans and fried onions. And then the thing that I probably wouldn't touch is usually like cranberry or pie. Certain pies. I'm not a sweet potato, pecan, or pumpkin pie person at all.
Yeah, sweet potatoes are disgusting in any form.
You got Angela coming after you now. Like that's her favorite food. Ugh. But I just I stay away from like pumpkin pie. I'll eat like cherry pie, apple pie, chocolate, French silk pie, But for whatever reason, I'm just not a fan of pumpkin and pecans and those kind of things. Maybe it's a texture thing. I have no idea, but I just never really liked those. So, and then our next question, Jacob Tyler Blaker writes, what game are you saving to play over the holiday break? All of them. Well, no, I think that it came out on PS5 today, so I'll be picking up Death's Door today. I was going to pick it up a couple weeks ago on Xbox, but then I saw an article about like something with haptic feedback on PlayStation for Death's Door, so I wanted to kind of check that out. Metroid Dread for me, as well as Guardians. Like those are the three that are on the top of the list. And then based on community feedback, I think that everybody wants me to go back and spend some more time with Returnal.
Yeah, for me, I do want to go back to Returnal because I never got past the third area. So I think I got stuck on the third area, third boss or whatever. So I might go back to there. I just don't know how well it's going to be to pick up and play again. Like, or if I'm going to have to just like kill my save and start fresh just to get back into the rhythm with all the different enemy types. So I want to get back into Returnal. I am going to pick up Death's Door. I think I'm going to pick it up on Switch though. Just because it seems like it could work well handheld, but I'm going to probably wait for some videos to get released of that game before making that decision to pick it up on Switch, because otherwise I'll just pick it up on Xbox. That's main thing. There are some indie games that I do still want to check out before we do our Game of the Year stuff later in December. Yeah, because we'll probably record like before Christmas. So like I want to pick up Chicory, which came out on PlayStation and PC, because that's an indie game people seem to love, and a lot of people were upset it wasn't nominated for the Game Awards. Which I guess we could have talked about the Game Awards, but we'll talk about that when winners are chosen. People see
them, and we'll talk about when they happen. I don't want to go through that whole nominee list. Just follow them on Twitter.
Yeah, and then
there's a lot of categories.
Yeah. I think that's the main thing is I want to play Chicory, I want to play Death's Door, and then I want to play or go back to Returnal, because everything else I've pretty much finished everything I started this year, which is kind of rare. Usually I leave like half a dozen unfinished games. There's a part
of me that wants to go back and mess with the medium a little bit more, because that came out this year too.
Yeah, that did. Yeah,
it did. Yeah. So, but not that it's in any kind of Game of the Year conversations, but just I think I did all right with starting and finishing most things, but yeah. I gotta like kind of go back and look. And the thing about spreading out on multiple platforms is I look back, I like on PlayStation at my trophies, and I look back, I'm like, well, I haven't really played that much stuff on PlayStation, but then I beat a couple games on Switch, and I beat a couple games on Xbox, so it's like,
yeah,
kind of all spread out in there. So
I also ended up picking up a couple games during like all the Black Friday sales. I hate participating in Black Friday stuff, but I'm also poor, so I feel like I don't have a choice. So I picked up like Resident Evil through GameStop. I picked up Village, even though I'm bad at that. I basically told Sarah, I'm like, would you watch me play through this game? Because I'm going to be terrible at it. I picked up Life is Strange, which I kept forgetting released this year. And it had pretty good reviews. So it's just something I just...
Yeah, True Colors, right?
Yeah,
Life
True
is Strange,
Colors.
True Colors. Yeah.
So I picked that up, and then I picked up like Hot Wheels Racing, just because enough people said they liked that. I ended up picking it up for the Xbox. I was going to pick it up for the Switch, but it was cheaper on Xbox and PlayStation than it was on the Switch. So I was like, let me save $5 and pick it up on the Xbox. Because Endwalker is coming out next week, so I need to start lining up the games I'm going to play, because I'm basically just going to...
Not on PlayStation?
Yeah, I'm not going to be on PlayStation, and I'm basically just not going to see, my fiance or my friends for 2 weeks that's out. So I'm like trying to line up all the games.
Lots and lots of Halo.
It's probably going to be a lot of Halo.
People are saying it actually runs pretty well on the cloud. I'm kind of halfway tempted to hook up my controller to my phone, and see how that goes, or even try to mess with Owen's Chromebook again just to see how that goes. Just to see. But all right, last question from Robert Cartwright. What game are you most looking forward to that is due to come out soon? I guess it's GTA 7 for him, and of course a foodie question is, what is your favorite restaurant chain? Whenever I visit the U.S., Logan's Roadhouse is always a must for us. He lives in the U.K., just as a point of reference. So I guess the game that's the highest on my radar right now is still Gotham Knights. in terms of like what I'm really, really looking forward to. Like Horizon looks great. I need to beat the first one. I think God of War is going to be fantastic. Ragnarok is going to be fantastic, but I already know what that game is going to be. I know what Horizon's going to be. I'm really hoping that Gotham Knights kind of scratches that old Batman Arkham itch that's been missing from an open world style, open world / linear style beat 'em up combo game. Mm-hmm. That's what I'm looking forward to the most. And favorite restaurant chain. Yeah, I mean, we like like Logan's as well. My wife and I went out last week to a place called I think Black Rock, where they serve the steak to us on a rock tablet or a stone thing that you actually cook it there at your table. So that was so I don't know if I necessarily have a specific steakhouse that I'm but a restaurant with a good steak. So
yeah, specifically when it comes to like restaurants, like any burger chain that's like an actual sit down burger place is usually my thing. Yeah. A good steakhouse would be good, but don't really go to steakhouses too often. Like I'm mostly just into like a good burger place because they usually now have like some sort of like vegan option or like vegetarian option as well. So usually burger places. Can't think of any chains off the top of my head that wouldn't just count as fast food outside of like Kuma's is Chicago chain.
I think like for you probably, yeah, like Fat Burger has always been a high priority for you whenever you see one.
Yeah. Some of those like mid-level fast food places are kind of that's kind of my zone for the most part.
I would have to say like the I guess with the definition of like fast casual, like like some of the sit down restaurants like whatever, like some of the stuff you get from like Applebee's, Chili's, Buffalo Wild Wings, places like that aren't like fantastic but aren't terrible. But in terms of like a good thing that you could possibly like do a drive through and get in your car, if anybody hasn't tried Culver's before, like
Culver's is really good. And then when it comes to like video games I'm looking forward to, I look through the 2022 list and there's not a lot of stuff I'm like super interested in. There's a lot of curiosities. Like I'm super curious to see what Dying Light 2 looks like once that finally comes out. I want to really play a Plague Tale Requiem because I loved the first Plague Tale, but I also at the same time don't know if I need another Plague Tale for the most part. Like I really loved that first one. That's like an all-time favorite of mine, but I don't know what they're going to do for a sequel. I'm curious, but I hope it doesn't ruin my opinion on that first game, which I'm one of those people, like, a sequel can definitely ruin the original for me. Matrix 1? Hey, that was a pretty good movie. Matrix 2 and 3? Oh, Matrix 1 sucked. Because Matrix 2 and 3 are bad. I've got a couple friends that are
mad at me that I haven't watched any Matrix, and I'm like, whatever. I haven't seen any Matrix.
Yeah, I don't blame you. Like, I liked the first one. The second and third one were so bad that I don't like the first one anymore. And I definitely feel like that with video games that get like unnecessary sequels. So like I am super into seeing what a Plague Tale Requiem is, but I'm so afraid that it's going to feel unnecessary that I don't want to get into it. And is God of War Ragnarok confirmed for 2022, like with a vague date or a vague window?
Yeah, I mean, it says 2022. I think it originally said 2021, right?
Yeah, so like that, I guess, would be the default answer of like just excited to play it, but I don't know if it's going to actually come out next year.
Yep. All right. I think that's our show. Really nothing spotlight focus on. Maybe I'll put my foot in my mouth here and give my wife some work, but maybe we'll run some Black Friday sale on Teesprings for a shirt. Maybe we'll do some kind of discount for some shirts or some hoodies, and we'll tweet that stuff out. So you can check that out if you need it. I guess, we'll just do that. I'll figure that out today.
They sent an email today, so.
Yeah. So you can follow us on social media. The main account for Twitter is @DigitalDaysPod, which is where you'll see some of the Teespring stuff when I decide how much it's going to cost. And then Michael's is @TheFirstMJC. And mine is at Good Dave Hunt. Please, whether you send it to the main account or to, maybe my personal one if you don't want to flood Michael's or whatever. I'd like to see, your family get-togethers, what your table looks like, if you've done any kind of cool decorations or even like something, if you live in a better climate than Michael and I live in, if you guys have like a football game in the afternoon, just take a picture of it, send it to me, tag me in it. Let me see what you're doing on Turkey Day, having fun. It could be a picture of you guys all just chilling, watching the Lions get their ass kicked. So you can post them in the Facebook group as well. The link to that is there. You post them in Discord. And then last but not least, patreon.com/digitaldaysgaming. $1 tip jar, $3 Discord access, $5 24-hour early access to the show, and $7 is your monthly bonus episode. So that is there in the show as well. Michael, you got anything else?
No, that's it. We'll try and get a Patreon bonus episode out before the end of the month. We'll just have to think of a topic.
Yeah. So, all right. I hope everyone has a great week. Good Thanksgiving if you celebrate it. If not, just be safe with your family and your friends, and have a great week. And keep moving forward.
Don't be a dick. See ya.